Ain't No Half Stepping with Marcus J. Live from the Den. Legacy Internet Radio. Thank y'all, everybody, rocking with us. Y'all rocking with us. We rolling with y'all. We appreciate those folks that have been consistently finding us on Facebook Live as we have to shut it down because Facebook Live acts stank when you have music. And since we play music in our breaks, Facebook Live will actually steal your whole show if you don't shut it down and bring it back up. So to give you an idea why we do that, that's why we do that. Those folks on TuneIn, those folks on Streamer, those folks listening to us on our website, www.legacyinternetradio.com. We appreciate all of you guys. So thank you. And the people who check out our YouTube and our iTunes replays every single week. I feel that it's very important that we give you the just due that you deserve. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Without you, there is no us. So 804-402-2893 is the number to dial if you want to rock with us. Big Bro Joe, I know you over there doing your thing, but I want to bring you back to the table for just a moment because I stopped you in the last segment because, as you can see, it was written down to talk about the mannequin thing. First of all, let me just be real clear. Mannequin challenges are stupid. They're stupid. And I don't want to be that guy that's always kind of against the newest fad thing. Like, don't tag me in stuff to share so that I can get blessings. It doesn't matter if I share it or not. Jesus is either going to bless me or he not. It got nothing to do with me sharing it. You know, I don't want to do the surveys. I don't want to do any of that stuff. I don't want to do a mannequin challenge. I don't want to do that. Stupid. Okay? It's stupid. Don't include me.
It's stupid.
It's stupid.
You don't like the chain letters?
No. Like in the days in the 90s when we was doing the email chains and you look and it's like 50 forwards and stuff. Like that's what, share this and, to 5 people and you'll get blessed.
Blessing.
You know what I'm saying? Like it's stupid. And then, I get it. Like people need to be a part of stuff, make them feel good. It's all right. It's cool. I don't need that shit. Don't include
You want me to tag you in my mannequin challenge?
No.
That's messed up.
I don't want to do a mannequin challenge.
We really should do one in here. What you mean, Marcus?
I don't want to do a mannequin challenge.
Marcus, we're doing a mannequin challenge.
I don't want to do a mannequin
All
challenge.
you gotta do
It's
is
fun though, Marcus. Because keep in mind,
Marcus,
you do the
Kroger's
mannequin
about to do
challenge
the
because we
mannequin
do our
challenge.
photo at the end of the night.
Stupid. With 3 O's, not even a U.
So
STOOOOOOOPID. Stupid.
Marcus,
mannequin challenge.
it's
Stupid.
fun. So what?
I don't want to
He's
do
not
it.
fun.
Live a little.
I don't want to do
All
it.
you
like
can do
the
is sit there and
Grinch.
look
Trust
grumpy.
Yeah, look grumpy. Yeah.
That was officially a mannequin challenge, the start of it.
Is that what that was?
But some of them are
Marcus,
even
it ain't
cool.
nothing but a minute. We did the Kroger spot. We did ours, and it was really nice. And we got the customers to do it with us too. White customers.
It's crazy. I don't. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Jane just did one. And some of them, Joe, I'm gonna get you to bring up the story since you alluded to it in the last segment. But
Okay.
Mr. 3375 mentioned that he's seen an underwater mannequin challenge.
Did you see the graveyard mannequin
There's a
They had a
cemetery.
dog. They had a dog.
The dogs.
The dog.
Now, as stupid as I think it is, the dog one
dog
was
was
pretty
The dog
cool.
one was hot.
But
That was
there were a
nice.
couple different ones.
Yes.
The pit bulls was the pit
pit
bulls
bulls
was
was
hot.
best.
And it's cool. The best ones with the dogs is when the dog don't move, but the eyes went everywhere. The camera went.
And I seen
I thought that was pretty cool, even though I still think it's stupid. But anyway,
They did one at the funeral though. It's a funeral one out there.
anyway, big bro, jump us off on the mannequin challenge that you were getting ready to get
That I was getting
into
into?
that I want to talk about. 804-402-2893 is the number to dial to rock with us. Big bro.
Well, first of all, I'm curious. Has anybody seen this mannequin challenge and what it is? And like Marcus J said, please make sure you call in if you've seen it and express your opinions on this. 804-402-2893. But the way this one was set up, and it's really kind of irritating, is first of all, like Marcus J said, they're irritating to begin with. But this one is a little bit more, I think, racially motivated. So we had some inner city black kids or black youth. I call them youth because they're younger than me. do a mannequin challenge where they were doing what they learned in the street. They did a mannequin challenge about a drive-by. Now, everybody knows that drive-bys are funny, but they did one. Okay, and they had their actual weapons and the whole 9 yards, and they were doing the drive-by mannequin challenge. And the next day, they got raided for doing the mannequin challenge. Now, all of the weapons were legal.
Were illegal?
No, legal.
Okay.
They were legal. They were of age and they were registered. They were legal. From what I'm remembering about what was going on. But then they were raided by the police department.
Well, the guns, my understanding, the guns were legal, but a couple of the people who were in it were not.
And they
legal.
weren't supposed to have
They had
them.
warrants and they weren't supposed to be around weapons. So the weapons was okay. It's just the people who were there were not okay.
Okay.
But then you have the second portion to that where there was another mannequin challenge with some, and I don't.
Spit it out, man.
I'm trying to make sure I can, because I don't know if they were or not, but okay, white folk in big trucks and they got shotguns, all assault weapons and the whole 9 yards doing the same mannequin challenge and type of mannequin challenge. Looked like they were about to shoot each other and nothing was said or done about that one.
So basically the setup is you got these black kids who did the mannequin challenge with weapons. Next thing you know, there's a raid and there's arrests that have come from it. And right around the same time, it was some white kids who had done a mannequin challenge with nothing. Now, this could be a nothing story. It could very well be a nothing story. But the reason why I wanted to bring it up is ain't too many people walking around today with warrants and don't know it. You know what I mean? Like if you riding dirty, you probably know.
You know you dirty.
You probably know you dirty. So why would you put yourself in a position where you can end up on the internet and doing stuff that can not only get you seen but get you caught? You know what I'm saying?
Because they live on the edge and they think they're
invincible.
Nothing can touch them. No one can get to them because they're smart.
Yeah.
That's what they think.
That was
They
so
think they're
smart, they
smart.
stupid.
Well, you also you have a lot of folks, and this is the elephant in the room. You got a lot of folks, particularly black folk, who feel why they gonna go raid the black folks and not raid the white folks. That's the elephant in the room. That's the piece that a lot of folks in social media are suggesting. Whether it's fair or not, I guess that's for us to flesh out. What do you think?
Well, see, what I don't understand is how did they know that some of the guys were not supposed to be around guns unless the parole officer was looking at it and said, okay, yeah, I know these guys. Or the police officers was like, yeah, I know these kids. One is,
Well, they tagged Pookie in it, so you know. They already knew that Pookie had warrants. They knew it.
So, I know, right? It is. I know. But what I'm trying to figure out is, so you're saying because they tagged them in the video, that's probably how they were, how someone was made aware that they had done this. And
Right.
Well, if we know that law enforcement uses social media to track people anyhow. I mean, a lot of people have been caught on social media doing stupid things.
Right.
We go back to the young man, he was a rapper who made a whole song, put it out on about him. He actually told how he did the murder of the dude that he did, and then when he got
arrested.
it done,
He got arrested for it.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember that.
Yeah, that was just stupid.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like Marcus J said, it could be a nothing thing, but for me, it's just one of those things where I don't know how many. And these kids were young. Where did they get some of the assault? I mean, these kids had military-grade assault weapons.
Well, I mean, the unfortunate reality, you know as well as I do, if you want it, you can get it.
Yeah.
If you want it, you can get it.
Yeah.
All you got to do is make a couple of phone calls, and you can get what you want to get,
Right.
on the street. So I just find it curious. Like I don't know if there's a story here. Maybe there is, maybe there isn't. But the fact that it has come up, I think, is worth bringing it up for nothing more than to make fun of how stupid these people are.
Yeah.
You stupid person.
But I think both cases should be investigated. I mean, if you're dumb enough to put that out on social media, then everyone should be investigated.
I'm gonna play devil's advocate with you. I'm gonna play devil's advocate with you because, it's my Second Amendment right to carry a pistol, which, whether I do or I don't, nobody needs to know. But it's my right.
But you have a certain age in order to enforce that right. So
that's true.
You can't be 16 years old.
That's true.
With a handgun.
With a handgun.
That's absolutely 100%.
But you can have a shotgun, rifle, the whole nine yards.
That's absolutely 100% true. But let's argue. Let's argue. Let's say, for example, we are of age. Let's just kind of add that to the narrative. Why would you be rolling up on me if it's my right? You know what I mean? It takes me back to Philando Castile, who was shot in his car. When you got a weapon, yeah, I got a license. Well, let me see it. Here it is. Ooh, don't shoot me. 2 in the chest. I told him not to move. No, dude. No, you told me to get my stuff. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, we either can carry our guns or we can't. Which is it? So while I think it's stupid to do the mannequin challenge, and I think it's stupid to do it to emulate a drive-by, I'm just simply asking the question, was it the appropriate thing to raid them? Now, obviously, it ended up being this particular answer, yes, because it did end up in legitimate arrest, but there was no raid of the other group of people. So we're going to be consistent, but then you'll get a devil's advocate that'll say, well, it wasn't the same jurisdiction. And so I'm bringing these angles up to show that there's a lot of different ways we can look at this. And I'm not sure if it's, we're talking about it, obviously, so it's something. But I'm not sure if we got a story here. Big bro, do we have a story here? Mr. 3375, ladies, do we have a story here?
I think that we potentially have a story here.
I think so.
Yeah, we do.
I think so. Like I said before, I stand by what I said. I think both situations need to be investigated. If you're going to do for one, you have to do for all. Now, that's not to say that for the white kids, they weren't investigated. They probably were.
Maybe they were, and we just don't know about it. Yeah, because they were potentially clean. Well, let me ask you this. Since you said it twice in the question first, I'm going to question you now. Why do you think that it definitely should be investigated? Obviously, we know it ended up being an arrest in the black kid's case, so it ended up being the right thing to do. But that aside, why do you think, you as Neatnik think, that it should be investigated?
I think it should be investigated because of the fact that I, for one, I'm a mother, a parent, and I don't want my kids to be, associated with someone that's just willy-nilly out here showing off a handgun, showing off, an assault rifle or military-grade weapons.
Right.
And they're endangering their neighbors. I mean, granted, they were out there doing a mannequin challenge, but if you don't know gun safety, anything could have happened.
Right.
So I need them to be in the right hands.
Yeah, but we're making assumptions once again. We don't know that they didn't know gun safety. We don't know. That's a lot of variables there, as we've already stated. Right. Marcus J. shot a whole lot of different angles at you, and you have to pick and choose which angles you want to take. Now, for them just doing a mannequin challenge with weapons,
I'm simply unsure. And that's the reason why I threw so many different angles out. Because I'm not sure.
It. They're doing a mannequin challenge. Suppose while doing this mannequin challenge, one of their rival gang members or somebody that...
Oh, now we're saying they're gang members.
No. Can you let me finish my point, please, sir? Okay, or someone that...
He might be on to something, though.
Did you just jump
on? I think it's fair to stop you. Because,
but you didn't give me I said a rival gang member or someone.
But you made
someone that doesn't like somebody that's in the group or.
But you put that out there. The first thing you said, why did the black kids have to be in a gang?
Or some uneducated neighbor.
Right.
Seeing these kids, you don't know if they're in the hood or not. They could have been in the suburbs.
No, they was in the hood. No, they wasn't. No,
I'm certainly not.
They could have been in the suburbs. You've seen those houses.
I'm certainly not. I'm certainly not. I'm not attacking you. Absolutely not attacking you. But I do think that it's fair to say, because that's the reason they were raided. That's the reason they were raided. They were raided because of the assumption. Right. And so when we make that assumption, whether it's fair or not, that kind of goes back to what Jane said earlier. when you had mentioned how we all have in our mind biases and prejudices that we may not even realize that we have.
Right.
You know, and I'm certainly not attacking, but I'm saying whoever made the phone call to say, y'all need to check these people out, that person may have had some stuff with them. I don't know.
You made me think of something, and it's a little off the subject, but kind of on. I had a guy who I was potentially dating, going to date, asked me this question. He goes, have you ever dated a black man? That was his question. I guess he wanted to know if I'd ever slept with a black man.
You know, once you go black, you never go back.
And I looked at him, I said, I have dated a black man.
He's probably thinking, I can't follow that.
And he was white. I mean, I'll just throw it out there. He was white. And I'm like, yeah. And he was very prejudiced, and I didn't know it. But I figured it out really quickly because he looked at me like I had been infected. I mean, I'm just telling you.
Really?
Oh.
Because in his mind, you were.
Yes. Because a black man had touched me
you.
somewhere
You were
in my
tainted.
past.
You were tainted.
Now, and this is what I said to him. I said, are you asking me recently or something that happened 25 years ago? Because that's when it happened 25 years ago. Does that matter? It doesn't matter to me if it happened 25 years ago. And it's a guy I just went out with 2 times. But I just thought there are some men, and you guys have probably run across this too, that if they find out that you have been with whatever they feel is a prejudiced man they don't want you with as a white woman, they, just like you said, they look at you like you're infected. And I just find that so troubling.
But go ahead, Sean.
That's the double-edged sword still, because some black girls out here
Uh-huh.
will talk to a black guy, ask them, have you ever been with a white girl? And then if they say yes, it's like, oh, you selling out our race. What you been doing with a white girl? Why you was with that? So I feel exactly where you're coming from. That is so crazy.
And
how
and that same thing happened to me. I wasn't dating him, but I was a really good friend with a black guy. I mean, we went everywhere together. And I don't know who, there was this particular girl, and she was black, and she wanted to go out with him like crazy, but she thought he and I were together.
Right.
And she came up to me and she goes, why don't you stay in your own race? Aren't there enough white guys?
Yeah.
And I looked at her and I was like, I'm not dating him. We're just good friends. Oh, really? Yeah, sure. She did not believe it. And I was like,
But if you think dating is bad, I mean, it goes back to, I had a realtor friend that had the exact same situation happen to her.
Right.
That it was a black
she
family.
black?
It was a black family that was selling
But
their
is your
home.
realtor friend, is she black?
She's black.
Okay.
Well, she's mixed.
Okay.
But she's black.
When you look at her,
Okay?
what do you see?
When you look at her, you have to look at her hard. Because she can go either way.
Okay.
Okay? She's just that fair.
Because you
She
are what
really
you,
that
you know, the
fair?
reality,
She's just that
the
fair.
reality is in America, you are what you look like.
Exactly.
Right.
She's just that fair.
if you can pass,
She can
you
pass. She's just that fair. But because I know her, I know that she's mixed. I know she's
You know she black.
So what happened was she'd gone to a family's home that was putting their house on for sale, and there was a European family that wanted to buy the house, okay? And had made a comment that if the current owners were black, African American,
They didn't
want
want
to buy the house.
Yeah.
So what she
They
had to
couldn't
do was
tell about her, right?
right. Well, what she had to do was she had to go to the family, the current owners of the home, and tell them to remove everything in that house
I've heard
That
this.
that had any type of ethnicity in it.
Any
anything,
pictures.
any pictures,
African
any
statue.
African statues, carpeting.
That's a
whatever-
common story. That's
whatever
happened because I've
she
heard
had to,
this.
They had to paint. They had to paint.
I have a story
I
about
wouldn't.
and
I wouldn't have done all that.
It was ridiculous.
Oh, she had to repaint it?
She had to repaint.
Well, she had African colors.
No. It was like it was
was
like
ethnic?
It
You could
showed
tell the
ethnicity
difference. You could
in it.
tell the
Yeah, you could
difference.
tell the difference.
With paint?
Yeah.
Well,
you can.
yeah, you can.
Here's my deal with that, right? You know, there's some history, some historical stuff that goes with this. As black men, and this is not a slight to the sisters at all. You know, none of you. But as black men, it's one of these things that we have to always have in our minds how we're perceived with regards to how we engage with white women, regardless of what the relationship is. When we think about someone like Emmett Till, who was murdered simply because he acknowledged, allegedly whistled or acknowledged, you know, when you tell the story of that guy, the guy that, you know, potentially wanted to, you know, have the honor of dating you, good for you for finding out who he was before you got that far. But, and I can't speak for Joe and Mr. 3375, but I think I can in this sense that we feel that the average white man has a huge problem with, in air quotes, their women with black men. Even if he's a man who would consider himself racially fair, if that makes sense.
Right. Yeah.
I hope I'm saying this right, because I want to be as blunt as possible while at the same time, you know, being, you know, respectful. Because the reality is, I don't think they want to see us with y'all.
But that's a vice versa thing too.
Yeah, I mean, it is. I think the average person, most folks won't admit it. Most folks won't admit it. But I think the average person, if they were given a preference, they would say, stay with your own.
Stay with your own.
Most folks would.
Right.
I don't think that it's politically correct to admit that, but I think most folks, if they were in a quiet moment, and that doesn't mean that they have a problem with other people. That's not to say that. But I think that most folks, if you caught them in an honest moment, that's what they would say. Whereas the politically correct thing to say is, you love whoever you love. Go be with whoever you want to be with. You know what I mean? Whereas
you know why, Marcus? Because everyone knows that your life is going to be a lot more difficult.
That's part of it.
And that's part of it.
That's so definitely that's part, but it is sad. But that's definitely that's definitely
because there are so much prejudice out there.
But see, for me, and it's just as simply for me, with my deal is when I look at the historical aspect of what has happened with regards to those types of things, it's difficult for me to get past knowing what I know if I engaged in that sort of behavior, how I know I would be treated. You know what I mean? Whereas the reality for me, my attraction is for black women.
Right.
My mother's black. My grandmother was black. Both of them, my aunts. It's what I know. It's what I'm comfortable with. It's what I want. Doesn't mean there's something wrong with me. I think that we get caught up in, if we say, date your own, you're automatically determined to be some sort of bigoted person.
Right.
Where you can have your preference and it's okay. Some folks' preference, some dudes' preference is other dudes.
I was getting ready to say the same thing.
I mean, that's cool too. Whatever's good for you.
But think about it. We live in America. I mean, think about other cultures that do not condone dating outside of your race.
Right.
Or homosexuality.
Or homosexuality.
Jamaican.
Correct.
You cannot go to the Middle East. They will tell you have to get back on a plane.
Yeah, you're right.
You can't do that out there. But I had to say something about the racial thing. I have a friend who owns a company. I think it's an electrical company, and he makes a lot of money. He works out in Windsor Farm.
Get that in there, right?
He works out in Windsor Farm and stuff, and he actually works with the workers, and he does such a good job. And he'll go to their houses and fix whatever he got to fix. And the people be like, oh, you are just great. I'm going to call your boss and tell you. Mind you, he owned the company. But he will never say, whatever. He said that people actually call his secretary and tell him how great of a job that he does. Now, he works out in Windsor Farm off of Libby Avenue, where, he does work.
There's old money.
That old money.
Rich money.
Yeah. And he's like, he's out there working, and the people in the house like, oh, y'all, this company is great. I'm going to call your boss. You deserve a raise, all of this. And he's just like, he said he will never tell them that he owns the company.
Because for the fear
because he's black.
Right.
Because the fear of him not having that clientele anymore. And he
Mm-hmm.
makes buku money because of. And he said, you know what, Shayna, I just humble myself and say thank you. He said, you have no idea how many letters and stuff come in the mail for him. He was like, my secretary always have like a list of callers. Like they'll call while he's right there fixing something.
Wow.
And he's like, the secretary's like, well, you got another call. Were you standing right there this time? He's like, yeah.
That's pretty cool, though.
It is though.
But it's sad.
But it's kind of sad. I'm like, you can never like take the glory like, oh, this is my company. You know, you can never do that because he's afraid he's gonna lose.
But
all his
Shayna,
stuff.
he's probably laughing all the way to the bank.
Oh,
Yeah.
he is. He don't care.
You know?
He don't care.
I mean,
Jane.
he's like, if I got to play this game in order to make my business
But you
successful.
know what, though? The unfortunate reality is he does have to play that game.
He does
And
have to play the game.
Again,
And he does laugh to the bank because
he's definitely going to laugh
right.
to the bank. But when we talking about elephants in rooms, that's an elephant. That's a big elephant in the room.
Well, let me ask you a
with a
question.
You can
dude.
never reveal that. Like if he
Let me ask you a
reveals who he is, he'll probably lose all
Let me
his
ask you a
stuff.
question. I feel some kind of way about that. I feel that he's ashamed of denying. What if he has a child?
I asked him
How
that.
do you
I asked him that.
how do you validate to your child being able to be a strong, empowered, and I'm just a strong, empowered black person, but you're willing to hide behind and not say that this is mine?
It's
I'm a
business.
man.
But
I'm a-
it's,
I'm a- yeah, that's- yeah,
but
first of all,
okay,
I'm a
I
man.
feel that, but this is business, baby.
No, that's not business.
This is business.
Okay, you talking business, I'm talking life. As soon as you can always, and you can say what you want to say, you know what, you had to take the mentality. If you truly believe that that's the only way that you can do is by lying to your
He
clients.
never lied to the.
Yeah,
he never
actually
lied
he
to.
did. It's a
how
lie.
he's not saying anything?
Omission is a lie.
That's not lying.
It is a lie.
Woo!
It's a lie. It's a
That's not lying.
twist.
He's
in
not.
this, in this particular.
He's not saying anything. He's just saying thank you
It's
as
a
a
lie
humble
of
person.
omission.
Well, there's a couple of different ways that I look at this.
I don't think so because the people never ask to see the owner. They just want to know where the people at to fix the stuff.
But if someone asks to see the owner, I would hope that he would step up and identify himself.
I mean, he said that never happened. I asked.
But on the one day that someone does, maybe they're unhappy with the product or the service or whatever, and they say, I want to see the boss. I want to know what he's going to do.
You like looking at your stuff in there.
Well, I know
You like
I do
looking at
like
yourself?
looking at me because
I catch you doing that a lot,
Well,
Marcus.
I also do it because I've been given the feedback that
Bane.
people don't like to see the back of my
your
head the
Yeah.
whole
I
time. So,
thought you was having
So-
a vain moment.
so-
I thought you was
well,
just,
No, he does that a lot, though. I just wanted to say
I mean, I'm
that.
vain. I like looking at myself.
just so
I'm
you know,
handsome.
but
Shit.
getting back to the
I'm
topic though,
handsome.
but Marcus,
But you know-
remember I was telling you about the realtor.
Yes.
Didn't finish the story.
Okay.
So
Go
what
ahead.
happened was they went and they got a bid on the home. It was accepted. They went to closing on the
they had to
house.
show up.
Now usually what happens is the seller and the buyer are never in the same room.
But this kind
This time they were in the same building,
of okay.
on the same floor.
Okay.
So the buyers were in one room, conference room. The sellers was in another, signing their lives away.
Right.
Okay. When you're selling your home, you only have a couple pieces of paper to sign. When you're buying the home, you've got like 50 million pieces of paper to sign. So they got held up. The sellers got held up in the conference room a little bit longer. I think they were just having a conversation and just chatting. So when the conference room doors opened, bam,
There it is.
Oh.
there it is.
There it is.
So the buyer of the home asked, who was that couple leaving?
That's
She's
the
like,
people
"Oh,
you just bought your house from.
That's the house you just bought. What?
Oh my
Yes, sir.
God!
Yes,
They
sir.
was- everybody should have been on it.
So guess what? You signed your life away and you've got a house that was owned by minorities
people.
that you didn't want.
Yeah.
So
Wow,
I can dig it. I got no issues with that.
that's the universe.
Uh-huh.
That's karma.
804-402-2893. Let me move on to something else. Mr. 3375, you heard a couple of weeks ago about the tragic plane crash that took out the Brazilian soccer team. Did you hear about that?
Yeah,
Did you hear?
That was terrible.
Did you hear about the survivors being fined $30,000 because they didn't show up for the game?
Yeah, that's crazy. Like
Three players.
Three players.
There were 6 total people, but 3 of them were players. The whole rest of the team perished in plane crash.
Yeah.
But the league fined the survivors $30,000 for not showing up.
That's crazy.
Part of it was because they had issues with the people who chartered the plane, and they said it was unsafe, and they shouldn't have actually crashed, and so there was negligence. And because there was negligence, they felt justified in finding these people. Mr. 3375, what say you about this story?
Yo, that's just insane. Oh, like for real, like first of all, where's the compassion, the empathy, and all of that? But them other countries, man. But when I first heard this story, I immediately thought about Marshall.
Yeah, the football team?
Yeah. It's same instance, but they didn't get fined.
Shannon, what you think? They find these people.
It's
I think
insane.
that's ridiculous. I would have there are no words to explain like how crazy that is.
Yeah. Jane, they find the soccer team survivors. 3. I'm not a big soccer fan, so I don't know how many people were on a soccer team. It was like 70 people on the plane. I know.
You know, Brazil is one of the best soccer teams in the world.
This particular team.
They've won the World Cup probably more than any
other team. Yeah.
And for them to lose most of their team, what happened is somebody, whoever was on the plane, like the manager or somebody who did all the logistics, so that if you did have a game coming up, you might want to let FIFA know that we're not going to be there. So I'm just saying, there was probably a logistics of they should have forfeited the game or rescheduled for however long you need.
Someone said that the opponent of whoever they were going to play against wanted to give them their trophies and their medals because of the fact that they lost.
I got it right here.
A sign of solidarity.
It was 19 players who were among the 71 dead. 19 players, and they and the 3. Oh my God, I don't even know how to even talk about this. Like, it's so outrageous, big bro, that they are finding these people. In my opinion, what say you?
Now, I just need some clarity.
Okay.
Are they finding them $30,000 as a collective 3 or a piece?
I believe it's a collective. It says the surviving members have been fined 30 G's. Yeah. It doesn't specifically say.
And not that matters.
I was going to say it doesn't even matter.
I just want to sum up. But how can you? I mean, like you said, that doesn't show any brotherly love whatsoever.
Yo. Like, that's just retarded.
I mean, I would boycott soccer, right? I mean, for real, I don't even like soccer, but I mean, right now, I mean, to me, there's no way. How you can't even grieve. Those are like your brothers.
Yeah.
You know, you can't even grieve your brother. You were on a plane that crashed.
Well, there was one guy.
Let me tell you.
I understand that they just took him off for life support because he's doing well. Like the other reason you take it off. Sometimes you take it off so they can die.
Just let it go.
And then sometimes you take them off because they don't need it no more.
Right.
He's going to be okay, this particular one. But they haven't told him about his brothers. Wow. And that's what you are.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's what
exactly.
And that's what you are. You know, like, you know, Mr. 3375 and Big Bro and yours truly are a part of a brotherhood. And other than Legacy Internet Radio, y'all know what that means. And we know what that means. And if something happens to us as brothers, like, we wear that. We feel that. We feel that. Yeah. If something happens to us, you know, we rally around each other. You know, there's days where I can't stand them and they can't stand me. But if something goes down, you right there.
You right there.
You right there. And so we don't spend every day together. Could you imagine? Every day you with these dudes, you traveling with them, you eating with them, you practicing with them, you playing games with them. They know their families. You know what I mean? Like, you know, like when we joke about the Giants and the football in the Cowboys football game from yesterday and other games and other sports and other teams, but the reality is, you spend from August in football, from July. From July. And if you were fortunate enough to make it to the Super Bowl, from July to February.
February.
Every day, you don't see your family, your children, regularly, but you see, your homeboy, that's your teammate. So this is what we're dealing with, y'all. This is the backdrop. 3 out of 22, and they finding them?
That's crazy,
Who's
man.
finding them? Do we know, Marcus?
Probably the league.
The league.
Is it FIVA?
The league.
It's not a FIFA league, actually.
Is it the South American Soccer Federation?
Come
Sorry.
closer.
The only reason I just found an article, this is from the Crash, and it says that they canceled. See, it says South American Federation Soccer League canceled all games, blah, 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 blah. This was right when it happened. So I was wondering, if they canceled them, then why do you fine them? I mean, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, this says the Superior Court decided to punish the league for failing to pay the teams for failing to play their final match.
Oh, that's right, because they flew from Bolivia to Medellin in Colombia.
Yes.
To play, they were playing in a finals.
It was the finals of the league, and it's not a FIFA league. It's actually
not a
another.
FIFA league.
I think it's a minor league team, and in the unfortunate reality, they were 5 miles or less than.
I'm
5
like
miles.
The Rock in this case. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, no, you're right.
Somebody definitely dropped the ball on that.
It's crazy when you said that though. It's like I don't even know you got to be a wrestler fan to get how cool that was.
And it never gets old.
Oh, it absolutely. It never gets old.
It never gets old.
It never gets old. Like I remember when he first started doing that, you would figure out ways to slip that into conversations. Like Mr. 33, 75. What you think about the game? Well, I think it doesn't matter what you think.
It was like an ongoing thing. You couldn't wait to hit somebody.
You couldn't wait. You couldn't wait. What's the name of them get at you the other day? Who? Disney.
Yeah. It's one of those things.
You remember that? You remember that from the Chronic?
Things, exactly.
Yeah, it's one of those. They don't have Step and Marcus J Live from the Dan Legacy of the radio. Last thing I want to get into. Donald Trump.
CIA.
The CIA and the FBI, the Central Intelligence Agency, and the Federal Bureau of Investigations, both independently have come up with information that leads to Donald J. Trump's campaign being aided by the Russian hack. Basically, the short version, the Russians hacked the Democrat as well as the Republican Party's campaigns, and their activities leads them to believe that they were complicit in aiding the Republicans. No one's given any specifics because apparently there isn't any. But knowing what we know about Donald Trump's behavior and his fondness for Russian President Putin, I find it very difficult to believe that he either didn't know or was wholly complicit, one or the other. Now, on the short end, maybe he did know. I don't think that's possible, but I think it's worth talking about. Now, here's the thing with Donald Trump and the Russians, right? Big Bro Joe and I are brothers, right? We brothers, but we like Cain and Abel brothers. But if somebody else comes in here and wants to have a problem with him, they gonna have a problem with me. We gonna fight later, but we gonna deal with this threat now.
Yeah.
Donald Trump has all kinds of nasty stuff prior to being shook in the Oval Office by the president. He had beef with the president. He ain't like the president. He's weak, he's this, he's that. He talked shit about his brother.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
What?
But an outsider is dope. He's a great leader. He's such a great leader. Mm-hmm. That is treasonous to me.
Yeah.
That is the backdrop that we get this information that the Russian hackers aided in his election. It's on the floor. This is the final topic of the night. We're going to do this for as long as y'all want to do it. Big Bro, you up first.
Well, once again, we fall back on what we know best. Donald Trump is what Donald Trump is. He's a manipulative. Well, we already have established that he is manipulative. That's number one. We also have established that he's a cunning and smart guy. Yeah. I mean, so there's no denying certain aspects of this businessman / now politician. Do I agree with him? No, I don't. But you can't deny the fact that he's a businessman and he's trying to make those inroads and those trades and those business decisions based on what is going to make him more money in the future. Because 4 years, he's going to be 4 years and out. We know this. Now, well, if we don't know it, I hope we know it because we need to do something better than what we were doing. But 4 years and out and he's gone. So he's got to sit there and use this leverage that he has at this present time to make all these moves that he needs to make. Because, Donald's not getting no older. He's 70, what, 70, 74?
He's 70.
70?
He's 70, yeah.
Oh, he getting a snatchback?
Well, on top of what you're saying about him not accepting with the CIA and the FBI, did you hear him that he doesn't want the intelligence briefings now?
Oh, yeah, he doesn't want
on
them
a daily basis because it's just a repeat of the same thing day after day. And I'm like, really?
Well, the last time we had a president that did one daily briefings, we had 9/11. So, I mean, let's.
Well, you don't want briefings for something you didn't plan.
Well, yeah.
But
He don't want to hear about what he did. He's like, I did it, so let's not talk about it.
But you know what he doesn't realize? Because right now he's the president-elect. He's not the president yet. Once he gets in office, I worked in D.C. for 15 years, and I worked for lawyers who are lobbyists. These people, there is this whole inner workings of the political machine that is the White House, the Congress, the judicial system. And he might be able to change a few things with the methods and the way he approaches things, but he's not going to change it all.
Not only is he not going to change it all, his behavior and his appointments have shown us that he's not interested in changing it all. Mm-hmm. And you said earlier, I can't remember if we were on the air or if it was during a break, Jane, but we talked about how he did what he did so that he can get elected.
Yeah,
or said what he said
yeah.
to get elected versus actually giving a damn.
Right.
Because if you look at some of his appointments, he appoints a woman to be the head of education who, doesn't seem to be someone, it doesn't appear to be someone that, educators would want. You would think that he would appoint somebody that educators would want.
Like Ben Carson.
You know what? I did my rant on that last week, Jane.
I heard it. But what I'm saying is it's the same example. It's the same example.
But you know what's crazy about that? What's that?
I wanted to be a doctor because of Ben Carson. I did a whole report on him. I read both his books in high school. I was just so in tune with this man, and then when he came out and did all this, it shattered everything I felt.
I mean, the reality is,
I just felt,
I don't want to. Let me say, I don't know how I'm gonna say this. I don't want to put it out there like you got a problem with the Republican platform, because I think that it would be unwise, particularly for people of color, to put so much into the Democratic platform that they don't give themselves any room to be competed for. Mm-hmm. Having said that, most of the Republicans are difficult to support because a lot of them are assholes. Mm-hmm. Ben Carson wasn't an asshole. He just was unprepared.
Right.
We talking about a dude who ran for president, dropped out, but when he was up for a secretary position, he said out of his own mouth that he was unqualified. So you were qualified to be the president, but you're not qualified to run a department, the Health and Human Services.
Right.
You're not qualified for that, but you accept the appointment for HUD.
Well, but look at, and I was talking to somebody about Trump. Trump has never held a public office, ever. Ever. So, all right, he had his little show, Apprentice, or still has it. Are you telling me, Donald, that you would have somebody come run Trump Industries, or Trump whatever it is, who had absolutely no management experience, marketing experience, degree?
Right.
but we've elected a president to run our country who knows nothing about government.
Yeah, no,
You don't have a degree, Jane.
That's it.
And this is why most presidents are lawyers or have law degrees, because you have to learn one thing: constitutional law. You have to know the difference between the executive, the judicial, and the congressional. That's the triangle that makes up. And if you don't understand it, that's why I'm saying I hope he is smart enough to surround himself with good advisors.
And we talked about that
We talked about that.
I mean,
I think that was a private conversation that you and I were having. Did we say it on the air?
No, we said it on the air.
We said it on the air when we were talking about.
Because he's not going to understand what the heck is going on.
No, I think there's something to be said for. And I don't want to allude to a thought process where we question the intelligence of Donald Trump, because he's brilliant.
Right.
I think we all, if we're being honest with ourselves, we have to admit this is a brilliant man. Mm-hmm. You don't turn $1 million into billions. Now, he did get a $1 million loan, but you don't turn $1 million into billions by being dumb. Now, you got some folks that say that it's not, that it's not real money, that it's, it's
Daddy's money that he gave.
Well, not even so much that, the paper trail that he's not worth what he was, what you think he is, and all that kind of stuff. We can debate all of that another time, but the reality is you don't get to be in his position being a dummy.
Mm-hmm. Right.
He's a smart guy.
Mm-hmm.
And so smart guys usually don't make dumb decisions. The decisions that he's making are calculated decisions.
Very calculated.
They're just decisions that we don't agree with.
Mm-hmm.
When you look at the appointments that he's making, he's put people in place that he wants to be in place. We just don't agree with it. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And so we have to ask ourselves why half of the country, she won by 2 million, but real talk, half the country supported
2.4.
2.4, okay. I didn't vote for her either because I just didn't vote for her either. But half the country wanted this dude. They fell for the con man game. Mm-hmm. And now the lock her up crew, they ain't going to admit it, but they pissed that they're not going to lock her up.
Oh, yeah.
The people who wanted the Affordable Care Act repealed, they pissed because he's saying, well, there's some good parts of it. I think I'm going to keep it.
He couldn't touch that neither.
You know what I'm saying? Like you cannot do an executive order to get rid of the Affordable Care Act.
Yeah,
you can't do it. You can't do it, especially when you got millions and millions and millions of people, more millions than are unhappy, are happy.
9 million.
Are very happy people. You hear testimonies of people saying, this is the best thing that ever happened to me. I'm covered now when I couldn't be covered before. They want to highlight how Arizona and a couple other states have went up by 100%, but they don't want to talk about how Illinois has gone and lowered the rates. They don't want to talk about none of that kind of stuff. Donald Trump knows it, which is the reason why he's backed off of talking about repealing it. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? This Great Wall that Mexico's going to pay for is now a fence.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
We already have
it's already a fence.
You know what I'm saying?
We already have a fence through Texas, Arizona, and New Mexico,
so all of these people who
it's going to end up being a stop sign.
So all of these people who supported him, these people were so staunch in their support of this man, will not admit, oh, well, he hasn't taken office yet. That's one thing, Tavon. I'm glad you're back. That's the one thing. And then the other thing is, well, we don't need him to lock her up because we got more important stuff that we need to deal with in the country. But you was at a rally screaming, lock her up. What you think, man? You got something to say?
That was the rallying cry. That was the whole thing. Make her pay for the crime. She's a wicked woman. She's this. She's that. She's evil. She's evil. And that may be the case. And that may be the case.
They got matching horns.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Because they purple. But
he appealed to a certain demographic. He appealed to the ones that felt left behind, that felt impoverished, that felt no one's talking for me, no one's speaking for me, no one's meeting my needs. Mm-hmm. Which is what a good businessman and a salesperson does.
Exactly. That's right.
And he didn't make that $1 million off of selling skateboards on the corner. You know,
Right.
this guy, he knows business. He knows how to sell himself, and he did an outstanding job. And he actually had the comment earlier last week where he thanked the African Americans that didn't come out to vote.
Yes.
For helping me. You
As
were just
much
as much help as the ones that did vote for me.
You know, I'm glad you brought that up. I'm
That
glad
was
he
the
did. I'm
problem.
glad you.
That's why she lost, because the people she was counting on
Well,
who
yeah.
voted for Obama, she thought she had those in the basket.
Because
they did
she-
not come out to
And they
vote.
come
they
out,
didn't
yeah.
want to vote for Trump, but they weren't going to vote for her.
Well, you know
that's,
what?
And that's me.
We spoke about this.
I'm in that class.
We
Well, we
spoke
talked
about
about
this because we also said, you know what, some of those same people who just sit there and lied and said that they were going to be for her were already going for Trump to begin with. Then you got the people who just didn't show up. Then you got the Marcus Jays who voted for the other dude, which didn't help the thing anyhow.
Jill Stein.
But, yeah, him, Joe Stein.
Jill Stein.
That's the same
Jill
one.
Stein, I mean,
that's the
yeah.
same one I voted for, brother.
You did?
I voted for Jill too.
Yeah.
Both of y'all messed up. Y'all, you know what? Y'all like
She won
hold up.
Virginia. Cut the bullshit.
Y'all like them people. I want people.
She still won Virginia.
Y'all like them folks who be messing up the curb in college.
She still won Virginia.
Had it messed
So
the
I-
curve
Yeah,
up 'cause
messing
they
the curve
too.
up.
Like,
I
dang,
like
we all
that.
could
I
have
like that
curved
because
it.
we all hey,
You
it's
mean so
even
you can
now.
answer that question no?
She's still, hey, look,
Straight 100.
and
Why you
because
just
you know
didn't make an 80?
my 13-year-old, like in all seriousness, like I went to the poll, like I woke up that morning and I literally drove to the poll, my daughter that day, and got out of the car and walked into the building with no idea who I was going to vote for. I didn't know who I was going to vote for until I got in there, like real talk, because I knew I wasn't going to vote for him. And I knew that I would not be able to live with myself if I voted for her. I just wouldn't be able to do it. And every time Gary John, even though I endorsed him on this show, every time he opened up his mouth, he showed you how unpresidential he was.
Man, that-
And Jill Stein happened to be the only one that didn't piss me off.
That day.
Right.
You know, that's how she got my vote. But let me just make this last point before we get out of the segment, because we got to get to our rants and our closings coming up. But Donald Trump can, he doesn't want to get the security briefings, but he somehow has time to watch Saturday Night Live, be mad, and tweet. He can go on there and talk about how it's crazy that, people are reporting that he has a producer credit on the Apprentice to this day, even though he claims he has zero business dealings with the TV show. But if people call him a nasty racist, he has no comment on that. He ain't said nothing about how, people think that he's a racist. And we can argue that, not this time because we don't have time to get into that. Some folks think he's a racist, some folks think he's a classist, but the reality is there's a whole lot of people who ain't white who think, and there's a lot of white folk too, who think that this man is a racist, and he somehow has had no comment on that. And I think we would be naive to ignore that point. Like we need to talk about this. We need to discuss if you got time to talk about a TV show, or if you got time to talk about a play. What was it, Hamilton? You can talk about all of that kind of stuff. It don't matter. It only affects a small amount of people. When you got a large section of the people, black, white, and other, who think that you're a racist and you have no comment, you think denouncement of the KKK and David Duke is all you got to do? That's what you think? You think because you got Omarosa and a bunch of pastors that, and them two weird-ass black girls that show up to all your stuff, you think that that's all you got to do?
Can we talk about them two weird black girls, though?
What's her name? Silk and something. I don't know their names.
He just found it.
what?
He paid them. He found them off the street. He just said, "Look, I'm gonna give you some money."
I
just
think
do
he
this."
found them on YouTube.
He found them and he gave them a substantial amount of money to do that.
Of course he paid them. Are you
They
kidding me?
got paid for that.
Of course he paid
They
them.
don't care.
Yeah, of course he paid them.
They don't care. He paid them good money too.
Yeah.
Ignorant.
Them two. Have y'all even watched the videos of them two, man? Like they got a whole bunch of videos leading up to the election and after election. They still going. Like, yo, them two. Talking about the word coon.
Oh, well, they
We got a comment. We got a comment here. We got a comment here that I want to address. We got a comment here that I want to address. Jay says it's fair. It's a fair point because I've heard it before. Jay says, well, you voted for him when you didn't vote for her because Jill didn't stand a chance, so you just took a vote and threw it out the window. In other words, wasted. A lot of folks feel that way,
Yes,
and I respect that point. But this is what I will say: you have the right to vote. It's a right to vote, and your right is to vote for whomever you choose to vote for.
Right.
And so you have to assume that I supported her when I don't vote for him. And you have to assume that I support him when I don't vote for her. So when you say that the vote is wasted, there is no wasted vote. If you show up at the polls, your vote is not wasted.
Because it didn't swing in your party's favor.
Because
it didn't swing in your candidate's favor.
Because
it's a wasted vote.
Exactly. Like you get these Hillary people who feel like because you don't vote for her that you support him. You gotta assume that I give a shit about her. You know what I mean?
But the funny thing is,
and vice versa. You got Trump people that say the same thing.
The funny thing, Marcus J, is if you'll remember and flash back to a couple weeks prior, leading up to when Barack got on the campaign trail. And his thing was, he wasn't saying vote for Hillary. His whole thing was vote. Don't boo.
Vote. Yeah.
He didn't say for who. He left that up to your own determination.
Well, he did come back and say that if you didn't vote for her, it was a shot at his legacy. And that ended up pissing off a lot of people.
That was in one speech, but then he backtracked from that. He didn't reiterate that after he said it that one time.
But he pissed off a lot of people
yes,
when he said
yes,
that, because once he said that, you had a lot of people who didn't feel like he had done much for black folks. So now, you know, you ain't do nothing for me. Now you want me to vote for her, who's going to continue your path? You know what I'm saying? Now I don't happen to agree with that, but a lot of folks do.
But at the same time, that was Donald Trump's platform. You want more of what Barack was giving us for 8 years, you're going to get the same thing with Hillary.
Right. No, I got you.
And that would happen to be more jobs, more money, more this, more that.
I mean, I'm a big, and I'll admit it, I'm a big Hillary supporter. I worked the polls that day.
Yes, I remember. I remember you telling us.
Standing outside from 6 o'clock to 12, and then coming back and closing up from 5 to 7, and it was an interesting experience because I was right next to the Republicans. We stood, and you kind of become friends because you're exhausted. Mm-hmm. So we started sharing water and food and stuff like that. But then we would start talking about issues.
Right.
And the biggest thing they came up with was Benghazi. And I really looked at everybody and I was like, because I've read the report, I know it inside and out. And I said, if that's all you have, do you know? I said, I want you to ask you a question. How many diplomats and Americans lost their lives under Ronald Reagan?
Yeah.
How many lost their lives under both Bushes?
Right.
I said, count the numbers. We had 4 people that died in Benghazi. I said, do you guys know Benghazi was the provisional embassy for Libya? Tripoli is the main one. They told him over and over again, go to Tripoli. We cannot protect you there. We cannot give you the security you need. We can give it to you in Tripoli. And he asked several times for extra security, but their response was like, it is too crazy there. We cannot give you the security you need. Go back to Tripoli where we can. And he refused to go. Most of his team went. He stayed, and one other person in the embassy, and then there was those other SEALs. They used to be SEALs, and they were private, I forget, security or something, that were in another location that were also killed too.
Right.
But I've never want anybody to die like that because that was a horrible way for them to die. But what I'm saying is that it wasn't like they ignored his request, which is the way it was.
Well, that's the narrative.
That's the narrative, and it's the way it was portrayed, and it was, Benghazi. You would thought 30 people died.
I always thought the Benghazi argument was a weak argument.
And I just tell people to read, learn about it.
There's other stuff that if you really want to get on her, you can get on her about.
Oh, yeah.
I never really understood why they made such a big deal out of Benghazi when you had, and man, this might sound crazy. I mean, anytime there's loss of life, that's a bad thing.
Exactly.
But we're talking about 4 people. You know what I'm saying? And at the end of the day, you know, when you look at what the previous administration put us through, and the situation around the world, and the way we were viewed, and all of that was done on a lie of, you know, weapons of mass destruction and all of that kind of stuff, and the fact that, you know, these individual people made so much money off of the war that for them to hang Benghazi on her, and I'm like I said, I'm no fan of her, and I could sit and share with why I'm not a fan, which I've done on the show many times. But the Benghazi thing, I always thought was petty. Ain't no half step on Marcus J. Live from the Den, Legacy Internet Radio. Gonna take our final break of the night. When we come back, we're gonna have our rants. We're gonna have our closings. Put the mic in everybody's hand. Give everybody a chance to join in and share in their salutations. I'll have a history moment, a missing child, and the crew's gonna say peace to y'all for the end of the night. I got our sister, our clairvoyant medium, our sister Shayna. I got Mr. 3375. I got our brother Tavon. He got something to say. Our sister Jane, Big Bro Joe, and Nick. And you know how stepping with yours truly. Be back in a few, y'all. Stay with us.
Hey, this is Warren Ballantyne, the number one truth writer in America, and I'm listening to my man, my brother, Marcus J, right here on Legacy Internet Radio.
What up, everybody? It's your girl, Jody Smith, JMM, Jody Music Mixtape. It's a classic. Get at my dude, Marcus J, on Legacy Internet Radio. Ain't no half-stepping. Get your own JMM mixtape. Hit me up. Jody Smith on Facebook, Jody Music, Jody Music, or you can hit me up on Instagram or Twitter. They're both Jody_804. Get at me on YouTube. That's Jody the Artist. Check out some of my footage, some of my videos. You can listen in on SoundCloud, Jody Smith Music, or just give me a call at 1-262-JODY-804. That's 1-262-JODY-804.